This is part 3 of the synthesis video, where we're making a bigger program using dictionaries, lists, and loops. Now, in the previous video, we went ahead and set up the rest of our while loop that actually is going to loop as long as the people or the user want to add another show. And we made sure that we validated all of it, and we also asked for the first TV show name. We validated that as well. And now the last thing we did was add in this check to make sure that it's time to add in more characters from it. Okay, so in between where we said, great, we're going to add some characters to the TV show, and you want to add another show, we need to put in a little bit of space. And then inside of here, what we have to do is we need to actually start a loop for the characters. So we need to create a loop to add in all the characters from the show. Now, in order to do this, we need to make sure we actually create a variable that's going to be used in the loop, a lot like we did for creating this variable, another show, and equaling it to yes. We're going to do that same thing down here. So I'm going to create another string. I'm going to put another character. Character. And I'm going to set that equal to a text string of lowercase yes. Now we're going to create our loop. So while, open closing parentheses and open closing curly braces, split those apart. And again, make sure we're in the right spot after we already got the TV show name, but before we did prompting the user for another show. Okay. Now inside of this while loop, we're going to make this run as long as another character equals a text string of lowercase yes. Now, inside of here, this is going to loop for as long as the user wants to add a character. So the first thing we need to do is ask for the character's name. So prompt the user for the character's name. So that's just going to be a console write line. Set it double quotes, \r, \n, and please type in the name of a character from open closing curly braces with a 0. And outside of it, we're going to use that text parameter. So I'm going to say TV show name. So please give me a character from that TV show. And we filled in the name for it. Now, once we prompted the user, the next thing we have to do is catch the response. That's going to be our character name equals console.readline, open closing, and a semicolon. Now, remember, character name, we actually initialized and declared all the way up here where we created that variable to hold the character name before it gets put inside of the list. So that's where that came from. Okay. All right, so we have our prompting of the character name, and anytime that we're prompting, what comes next? I'm hoping you guys said validation. Good. So validation is going to be another while loop, open closing parentheses and open closing curly braces, and split those apart. And inside of here, again, this is an open-ended question, and it's going to be a string character or a string variable that's going to stay as a string. So this is going to be string.isNull or whitespace, and an open and closing parentheses, and inside of there is going to be our character name. All right, now our 3 steps of validation. First one, tell the error. So what is that error? Well, it's going to be a \r, \n, and you cannot leave this blank. Next thing, we have to re-ask the question. The question. That's going to be a console write line again. Set a double quotes. And please enter a character name. Finally, our third step is catch the prompt again, using that same variable, which is going to be that character name. So character name equals a console.readline, open closing, and a semicolon. All right, so now we prompted the name for a character. We went ahead and did the validation, still inside of our while loop that's going to be keeping track of adding another character. And you know what, so we don't get confused, let's do a little bit of housekeeping real quick. So find the closing curly brace for this opening curly brace, and it's going to be right here. And after that, I'm just going to put a little comment. So I'm going to put a // and I'm going to put end of add another character. And that's just so I know where I am inside my loops, so it doesn't get really confusing. For example, like this is end of validation. So that's kind of that one. If we want to come down a little bit, this one is when we add another show. So end of loop to add a show. Okay, so that's just notes for us and for other people that will look at our code, just to kind of make it a little bit easier to understand and read. All right, so now that we're at our end of our validation, but still inside of adding another character, let's go ahead and tell the user we got it. Tell the user we got their character. So that's going to be a console write line again, set of double quotes. Let's have a little /r, / and n, and put something like, got it. Then a little space. We're going to give it a curly braces with a 0, was in curly braces with a 1, and then a period. Now remember, these are text parameters, so we need a comma after our string, but before the closing parentheses. And we're going to write in our character name that we just got, then a comma, and the TV show name. So the character name is going to fall inside of the 0, and the TV show name is going to fall inside the 1. So it's going to be like Data was in Star Trek. So that's kind of what we're doing there. Okay, so now we have one character. What do we do with it? Well, the next thing we do is we have to add this character to our list of characters. And the reason we have to do this is because we're going to loop this again, and we're going to overwrite this character name variable. So we would lose it if we don't save it inside of our list. So the way we add something to a list is we need that list name, and let's go all the way back up to the top, and we'll see what that was. Here it is right here. So it is our list of strings, all characters. Coming on down. Let's find that. There we go. All characters. And then a period for that dot syntax. Now we need our method name. So that's going to be a dot add, open closing parentheses, and a semicolon. And inside of there, what are we exactly adding? Well, we're adding the string that holds the character name. So character name. All right. So then when it loops, it'll then prompt it again, and then we'll add the next character to the list, and then prompt again, and add the next one. So we're just adding variables into that list. But it started as blank, and we're adding to it. Okay? All right. So now, after we put that character in our list, we need to do our next step. And what that's going to be is it's going to be setting up the list, or setting up, not the list, setting up the prompt for keeping the loop going. And we're going to do that in our next video.